alone. I have a guess.
I mean, mine is gonna be probably a little bit more shallow, but I think I got a guess too.
Mine's the opposite. I have a fear of like open water.
Tensions between Jenna Ortega and Rachel Zegler, two of Disney's rising stars, are apparently growing behind the scenes. A behind-the-scenes conflict that has left Disney officials scrambling to handle the repercussions has reportedly resulted from the actresses' fight over artistic differences and personal ideologies. Both actresses are scheduled to have significant parts in forthcoming films. The dispute may have more ramifications for Disney's brand, the characters' futures, and the actors' careers than just their separate parts in the live-action Snow White adaptation and the upcoming animated film Blue Wave. A furious debate between Ortega, who is well known for her work on Wednesday, and Zegler, who is expected to play a major part in Blue Wave, and Zegler, who is scheduled to play Snow White in the live-action version, forms the core of the drama. Insiders claim that the argument started because of different opinions on how to treat their characters, and the larger question of how Disney ought to handle contemporary narrative. Known for her daring and edgy performances, Ortega is said to have criticized Zegler for her vocal advocacy and her idea of a feminist, more progressive version of Snow White. Even though Ortega is a supporter of progressive ideals, he tends to prefer a more understated style of narrative that emphasizes character development over overt political commentary. Disney management has allegedly taken notice of this conflict and is worried about how the public will see its stars as a result of it creating an unpleasant work atmosphere. Zegler's interpretation of Snow White has already generated debate. Zegler has stressed in interviews that Snow White has to be more self-reliant and self-assured, departing from the stereotype of the character as helpless and dependent on male characters for help. While some people have found Zegler's position appealing, others, including Ortega, have questioned if this change is genuine or just a charade to fit in with current trends. According to reports, Ortega's objection to Zegler's strategy created tension, which resulted in a fight between the two. This dispute has given rise to speculations of a developing rivalry, with Ortega purportedly taking issue with Zegler's propensity to utilize her platform for social and political commentary, which she feels might overshadow Disney's project's emphasis on narrative. Disney officials are becoming more concerned about the actress's quarrel, particularly because it has arisen during a challenging moment for the firm. In recent years, Disney has seen a number of box office setbacks, including lackluster results from high-profile releases like the remake of The Little Mermaid and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. External criticism has added to these losses, such as humorous commentary from series like South Park and harsh statements from Elon Musk over the company's direction, directed at Disney CEO Bob Iger. What ought to have a key tentpole project for the company, the Snow White remake, is apparently worried about how Zegler's outspokenness may affect how fans and critics see the picture. This worries Disney management, who are aware of this. However, Ortega has established herself as a new and approachable face for younger viewers thanks to her burgeoning star status, which was enhanced by her critically praised performance on Wednesday. The Disney formula stands in contrast to her capacity to create darker, more nuanced characters, and there is conjecture that Disney views Ortega as a crucial player in reinvigorating its brand via more intricate, multi-layered narrative. Nevertheless, the public's view of her and Zegler's quarrel may detract from the success of their individual projects, placing both actresses in a difficult situation due to their reported differences. It is said that Disney management is keeping a close eye on the issue since the consequences of this behind-the-scenes drama might affect the company's future live-action and animation picture production. Not only are Snow White and Blue Wave crucial to Disney's slate, but Zegler and Ortega offer the business two different directions. Particularly Zegler has come under fire from those who say she constantly chases attention and seems to think Disney would share her progressive advocacy. Although she may have had good intentions, not everyone has always appreciated how she's done the classic characters with contemporary sensibilities. Fans claim that Zegler's remarks in interviews on turning Snow White into a feminist hero are distorting the figure and are losing sight of her true nature, prioritizing diversity equations in the future, so the stakes are enormous. Ortega's popularity stems from her ability to combine conventional Disney principles with a more contemporary, edgier sensibility, while Zegler's approach is more explicitly progressive and activist-driven. The outcome of this conflict may impact the future of both Disney and its cherished characters. Disney may emerge from the drama stronger, with a new cast of stars guiding the company into a new era, if the studio can manage to capitalize on the abilities of both women. But if the conflict intensifies further, it might eclipse the actual initiatives and harm Disney's carefully constructed reputation. Both industry experts and fans are curious about how this may impact the actresses' careers and Disney's future as the story develops. Can Zegler and Ortega set aside their disagreements for the sake of their respective projects? Or will their rivalry harm both their careers and the movies they are starring in the long run? Time will tell, but one thing is for sure. The drama that goes on behind the scenes is on par with anything that Disney could have written. Tensions between Jenna Ortega and Rachel Zegler, two of Disney's emerging stars, are boiling behind the glamorous curtain of Hollywood, and their fight is generating a lot of attention from both the entertainment business and fans. Their disagreements on how they should handle their jobs in Disney's current initiatives and a personality clash seem to be the main causes of their quarrel. Zegler, who is slated to play the lead in the live-action Snow White 2025, and Ortega, who had her breakthrough in Wednesday, are said to have had a falling out while co-producing Disney's next animated feature, Blue Wave. Their argument, which started off as constructive, Zegler and Ortega's disagreement reached a boiling point when they worked together on Blue Wave, an animated film meant to compete with Shrek 5. Zegler, who has a reputation for being attention-seeking and always trying to take center stage, reportedly asked Ortega for help with her upcoming role as Snow White. This discussion swiftly became sour when Ortega openly criticized Zegler's method of movie promotion. Ortega said that Zegler's handling of Snow White's marketing had garnered criticism, especially in light of her candid remarks on the character's remaking. Zegler did not appreciate Ortega's constructive criticism, which resulted in a major falling out between the two actresses. Beyond only their personal disagreements, there is a growing rift in Hollywood about how to approach contemporary narrative, which is reflected in the friction between them. Zegler's intention to transform Snow White into a feminist symbol has been the main source of contention. She has discussed the necessity for the character to depart from classic fairy tale cliches in a number of interviews, especially those that stress romance or feminine passivity. According to Zegler, her take on Snow White is of a stronger, self-reliant woman who doesn't need a prince to define her. Zegler may have been too intent on making a political statement at the cost of maintaining the character's original attraction and storyline, according to several fans and industry insiders, including Ortega. Ortega argues that overt activism may alienate some viewers and detract from the film's inherent merit, which is the basis of his criticism of Zegler's marketing plan. Ortega knows how important it is to strike a balance between one's own ideals and the demands of a wider public, having previously negotiated the complicated waters of contemporary prioritizing diversity, equality, and inclusion (DEI) activities. Ortega has expressed unhappiness with large studios like Disney, Warner Bros., and Universal. She has criticized these companies for their shallow or performative attitudes toward their efforts. Although Ortega and Zegler are both dedicated to progressive ideals, Ortega is not satisfied with how these ideals are being applied in Hollywood, which causes her to see jobs in the business differently. She allegedly worried that Zegler's remarks in public and social media presence would take away from the allure of Disney's live-action remakes, which are often based on nostalgia and appeal to a broad audience. Ortega's viewpoint, which is based on her conviction that powerful individuals may convey progressive ideas without overtly politicizing them, has put her in conflict with Zegler's more direct style. Disney officials, who are already under pressure from a string of high-profile box office setbacks and outside criticism, have noticed this behind-the-scenes turmoil. Disney has seen an increasing number of difficulties in the last several years, ranging from the poor box office receipts of big-budget films to public criticism from celebrities such as Elon Musk and comedy series like South Park that have poked fun at the studio's current situation. Internal conflicts like the one between Zegler and Ortega make the company's challenges to stay dominant in a changing entertainment industry even more difficult to handle, and might jeopardize the success of future initiatives. Disney officials are struggling with how to strike a balance between progressive ideas and the enduring allure of its characters, even as they try to control the drama. Zegler's concept for Snow White is a daring move for the studio, but it may turn off longtime Disney devotees who are more drawn to the innocence and charm of the classic stories. Disney may find a solution in Ortega's more subtle strategy, which prioritizes character development over overt political message in an effort to reach a larger audience. Zegler and Ortega's disagreement serves as a metaphor for the difficulties Hollywood has in trying to modernize without losing sight of its history. The resolution of this conflict might have a significant impact on Disney's brand going forward and how it manages the next generation of stars. The success of the two actresses' next endeavors, as well as the direction Disney takes with its storytelling, will depend greatly on their ability to put aside their disagreements and find common ground. Campaign advised Rachel to change her approach and to avoid mixing fictional stories with real-world issues on social media. However, Rachel took this advice to heart and was very offended, especially since Jenna had also voiced concerns about Disney's overall direction and how it related to Rachel's career. This clash of viewpoints ultimately resulted in a significant rift between the two actresses within the studio, highlighting the ongoing tensions in the Disney environment. The Blue Wave Project, an animated film that aims to combine different Disney characters into a single cohesive feature film scheduled for release in 2026, has Rachel Zegler removed from it. This project has been described as a Shrek-style film that Disney hopes will compete with DreamWorks' Shrek 5, which is scheduled for release in the upcoming years. Disney is now figuring out how to handle the impact from the actresses' dispute after making a big investment in each of them. Disney's plan to update its classic stories includes Zegler's depiction of Snow White as a central component, but her remarks have generated a lot of criticism, raising questions about the movie's potential reception. In the meantime, Ortega's ongoing participation in Blue Wave puts her in a special position inside the organization, since she will continue to be an essential part of Disney's animation and live-action projects. Cherished figures. We've spoken about this previously, especially in relation to the Snow White character's modifications, which differ greatly from the 1937 original and the brothers' dark stories in the impending live-action version. The reason for the continuous friction between Gina and Rachel is that Gina takes a strong stand on diversity, equality, and inclusion. This has frustrated Rachel, particularly since she views Gina as an accomplished member of the business. Transpire behind the scenes at Disney, especially after Rachel was fired from many projects, which heightened the tension and added to the drama. Recently, Gina announced her withdrawal from the Pirates of the Caribbean revival, citing DIY reasons as the only reason she chose Rachel over Gina for the part. As we've previously discussed, this sequence of events highlights the intricacies and
on Hill. During this time period, they brought in historians to speak to us. They even brought in
particularly as performers manage their careers despite changing industry norms. The company's overall ideology and die-focused hires are expected to have a significant impact on Disney's upcoming Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. Personally, I don't think this approach will work, because, as I always say, without Jack Sparrow, the magic just isn't there. The crux of the ongoing conflict between Gina and Rachel is that, while Rachel firmly supports the Day Initiative, Gina opposes it. This conflict highlights the growing challenges within Disney, particularly with regard to the Blue Wave undertaking. The top executives at Disney, including Bob Iger, are stuck in a never-ending cycle of emergency meetings involving every organization, including Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, and the many remakes of films like Hercules that are in the works. We'll go into more detail about the potential reimaginings of the sword, the stone, and other properties later. However, it's important to note that Bob Iger is anticipated to reveal a more detailed plan for the remainder of the 2020s in a significant announcement within the next month. This event has the potential to completely change Disney's future. And what's most intriguing about it is how Jenna confronted Rachel head-on and addressed her worries in a way that was both direct and public. Jenna exhibits her capacity for taking constructive criticism and for standing by values she feels are being violated at Disney. She feels that the emphasis has switched away from important storytelling, well-rounded character development, and compelling narratives, leaning rather than toward activism. So in general, people, please share your thoughts on this situation in the comments section below. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and press the notification bell to ensure that you don't miss any future ones.